like Banter with
In this
me,
episode, we are going to cover self-sabotage and going completely off track with your diet on shift.
Emma, and you.
Griegsy!
Wait.
I've
Um,
started finding all my emails with Griegsy as well now.
so
But we've all been there, haven't we? With
yeah,
self-sabotage
I was
shifts.
about to say. So when would you think that self-sabotage would be the most prevalent for people?
I used to find it personally when a shift wasn't not like a specific shift, but when a shift kind of went to shit. Like I would go into work with the best intentions, and you know yourself, like you go into work, you kind of get to that stage where you've not had breakfast. It's like an early shift, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You've been sent to your third domestic of the day. You've got a sore head, and you're just like, you know what? Fuck it, McDonald's. It's usually, and then that stems into going off track later on in the day as well for a lot of people because they're like, well,
Mm.
I've had a McDonald's today anyway. So instead of understanding that you can have that and still make progress for the week, you just need to sort of adapt your calories. They then get home and go, ah, well, I'll have a glass of wine and a cup of beer and a Domino's because I've had that anyway. You know what I mean?
Or traumatic incidents as well. Traumatic incidents, people like like if there's a child death or like a fatal RTC, people's excuses to always go home and delve
Mm-hmm.
into the biggest bag of Doritos they can find and all the
Mm-hmm.
chocolate in the world because
Yeah.
and switch the TV on and not allow themselves to kind of like process anything.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And I think it's with the habits as well. Like that's the one thing that I find, and you probably find it as well with all of your clients. Like it's different for them when they then come into the sort of coaching side of things, or when they even have something like this to focus on. Because for me, it was very, very easy to switch off from work because I always had stuff that I had to do when I got home. So I could go to a fatal house fire with kids in it or a fatal road accident with kids involved. And then I would just go home, and if it was a training day, I would go to the gym, put my headphones on, come home, cook my dinner, make sure food was ready for the next day. And I
Mm.
think it was just that routine. But it's something that even when I get on like initial calls with clients, it's the number one thing, like getting home and then not processing it properly, but instead sitting trying to almost self-soothe with food or alcohol and watching shit on TV to try and switch off, which then in turn usually makes you feel worse the next day.
Yeah, I had a client a while ago. She came to me. She had very much like a self-sabotagey mind. So whenever she used to have like mental health dips or anything like that, she used to resort to shit food in front of the TV, takeouts, all that sort of stuff. But we actually we basically made a plan between us. We used to to speak about what food she could have, like lower calorie options and things like that, and the fact that we can use walking to kind of help
Mm-hmm.
kind of process what's happened during the day and stuff. So, and that
Mm-hmm.
actually really helped her, and
Yeah.
she made really good
It's just
progress.
it's just the way of dealing with it. Like I talk to clients about that all the time. I had a guy that I worked with, and he wasn't like he didn't really have a well. I mean, he wasn't like an alcoholic, but he definitely had a routine with alcohol sort of thing. So he would get home from shifts. He said either if it was a good shift or a bad shift, he would go home and he would have a couple of beers, which a lot of people probably do. They probably go home from work, right? I'll have a couple of beers for my dinner and get ready for bed, sort of thing. But then he would say if he'd had like a really difficult shift or a stressful shift, it would then impact how much of that he kind of drank. And the one thing that we looked at for that was really just changing his environment and changing that routine because it's all just habitual. Like it is just built in as a habit. So no matter what has happened to him at work, he'll get home, stick his dinner on, or go to the shops and get something, or order something from Just Eat, and then go to the fridge and crack a beer open at like 5 p.m. And then he's sitting in bed at 8 p.m. He's had 2 or 3 beers, had his dinner, and again, not feeling good about it, but it's just changing the environment for these things. So I said to him, like, you're a fully grown adult. Having a beer doesn't make you a bad person in any way, shape, or form. Because I think a lot of times when people do have issues with like the alcohol side of things, or like smoking, or like binge eating, like whether it's pizza, whether it's chocolate, fucking Haribo, whatever it is, they then kind of have it and then beat themselves up about it. But I think as
Yeah,
soon as you change your mindset and that and go, well, do you know what, mate? You had a fucking packet of Haribo like, who cares? You've not went out and fucking hurt anyone. You've not done anything. Like, you've had a beer, you've had a chocolate bar. Who gives a fuck? It doesn't make you a bad person in any way. And then for him, we kind of changed his mindset on that and said, look, you're a fully grown adult. See if you want to get home and have a beer, you can have one. If I came home, or if you came to my house for whatever reason at 6 p.m. at night and I was having my dinner and a beer, would you even think about it? Would you think, oh, he's a bad guy, that Greg, he's fucking sitting there with a beer open? Like, you wouldn't. So it's changing the mindset around that. And then for him, once we kind of got past that, it was changing the habits for it. So changing the environment, because sometimes he would then get home, he would sit down, not have a beer, start eating his dinner, and he was like, all I would think about was then like having a beer, because he was like, this is part of my sort of routine. So what we then got him to do was just change his environment like immediately after that. So instead of then sitting in the house, just having had his dinner, thinking, watching some shite on TV, thinking, I really want a beer, I really want a beer, I really want a beer. It was just go for a walk. Cold showers and walks, like, is the fucking way to go for these things. Just to take your mind off it, even for 10 or 15 minutes. Like, go for a walk around the block, have a think about it, because by the time you then get home, you'll probably think, do you know what, I actually don't really want a beer. It's just because it's part of that routine. It's how I kind of self-soothe after these difficult shifts, or kind to switch off.
Same with cravings as well, isn't it? Like, if you're really hungry or something, going for a walk to help kind of combat it, it just helps. So it just helps with all kind of elements of that sort of craving mentality.
And even just having alternatives, like, I mean, I've never had an oven pizza that I've not enjoyed eating. Like, I've never had an oven pizza and thought, that was pure shite, that oven pizza, unless it looks like the pure jakey ones in the shops that you can tell are going to be shite. But see if you buy like a decent oven pizza from Tesco or Aldi or something like that, they even do like the protein pizzas now. So if you do get home on a Friday early shift and you think, do you know what, I would quite like a pizza tonight for my dinner, just stop at a shop on the way home, get one that you can at least track into your MyFitnessPal. You're not going to then spunk 3,500 calories on a Domino's that again makes you feel shite, massively dehydrated. The weight's up fucking 6 pounds the next day. Your face is bloated when you wake up because of all the carbs and the sodium, and you just feel horrendous. Instead, just go, well, there's a 700 calorie pizza from Aldi. I drive by an Aldi on the way home. I'll stop and get one of them, because you're never going to have that and then go, right, I've eaten a full pizza from Aldi, now I'm going to phone a Domino's. Like, you'll never have that. Do you know what I mean? I think it's when people try and do the complete opposite. Like, I'm not allowed pizza because it's bad food, so I'll have this fucking chicken breast that I cooked 3 days ago and a bit of cucumber. I said, well, no wonder you're going off track with your diet, because I don't know a person on the face of the planet who would want to eat fucking 3-day-old cold chicken and a bit of cucumber for the dinner.
Yeah.
So,
Let me just close this door for a sec. There's a dog.
Blue light podcast. Also, apologies anyone if my blue light actually cuts off in the background. We don't have the most professional podcast setup.
Yeah, apologies
but
about
it's free. We're doing a bit, aren't we?
Well, exactly. So, giving people free advice. But yeah, like the whole like coming back when like say you've like had that shit shift, or you're off late or whatever. You come back, you sit on the sofa, you eat shit, you haven't processed anything, you'll just feel even shitter. Like, it's just so why don't like people, it's obviously, it's habit forms, isn't it? And like people have just kind of got used to this. I feel shit, I eat shit. Like, why don't we kind of start kind of changing like the almost the connotations around having to deal with these sorts of things, and like go for a walk.
And as well, when you get to that point where you don't massively rely on these things, it will be a case of changing your environment with it. Like, if I had a beer in the fridge just now, I don't keep alcohol in the house. If I had a beer in the fridge just now, I'd probably want to drink it because it's there. I mean, I've never not wanted to have a cold beer, but I don't think about it because there's none at home. Do you know that way? I think that's the one thing as well, is to change the environment. Because I say all the time, and it sounds really cheesy, but your environment will dictate your actions. Like, if I wake up and I've got eggs, wholemeal bread, and steak for dinner, nice healthy stuff at home, I'm probably going to eat that, and I will still enjoy all of it. Whereas if I wake up and there's no food in the house, and I go, oh, fuck, I'm going to get a McDonald's breakfast on the way to work, and then I come home and there's nothing in the fridge because I've not bought anything, I'll get a takeaway, and there's like 3 cans of Tennent's sitting in the fridge. I'll probably have one of those with my takeaway as well, or 2 or 3. So it is the sort of environment side of things, because it will dictate your actions. One of the best books, if anyone's not read this book, is and I've recommended it to clients as well, and they all said it was fantastic as well. It's called Atomic Habits. I'll show you what it looks like. But they basically go into like why we have habits, how to get rid of bad habits, how to develop new, better habits. So it's this picture here. Why will you not open? Right, there's a photo. Oh fuck, I fucked it. This is it anyway. Right, this here, Atomic Habits
I've
by
seen it.
James Clear. It is a fantastic book. So if you have habits that you're trying to get away from or habits that you're trying to build, like new habits, getting steps in, going to the gym, etc., probably one of the best books that you can read on habits. I'm not endorsed by James Clear in any way, shape, or form, but it's a fantastic book. It's a really good book. And then I think the other thing is when you're at work as well, like we spoke about at the start, with the self-sabotage stuff, see, having a McDonald's, it is fine. The amount of times I've been in a weight loss phase and had a McDonald's and I've still lost weight. Like, it's absolutely fine. I think it's like, I always relate like calories to money when I'm talking to people about it. So if you had, let's say your calorie allowance was 2,000 a day. So like look at that as like monetary spend. So if you had £2,000 to spend each day and you spent £2,100, you wouldn't then go, ah fuck, I'm going to spend another 10,000 when I get home. You just go, fuck, I've went a wee bit over my calories today, a wee bit over my budget today. So tomorrow I'll cut back by 100. So if you do have a really, really shit shift and you get McDonald's and you're slightly over your calories, just work out your weekly total for calories and then adjust it so that you still fall under that weekly total. Like, it's very, very easy to do. I think it's just that mindset of people are going, oh, well, I've had a bar of chocolates, I might as well just completely fuck the rest of my day as well. And you would never do that with anything else. It's just diet.
The fuck it button, isn't it? But it's almost like reverse banking, isn't it? Where you're taking calories from certain days and adding them onto another day. So it's almost like you're reverse banking it, which is what I tell people to do all the time. Like, don't stress if you've had like a bad Monday. Because 9 times out of 10, when you're on like a night shift as well, you're on your first run of night shifts, and people wake up a little bit earlier and just have that nap. They'll eat more that day anyway, going into the next day. So I'm like, well, don't stress about it because you'll probably naturally eat less the next day because you're asleep most of the day. So it's just kind of like having that kind of knowledge around it, and just someone telling you not to kind of stress about it. But there's nothing wrong. And then I'd say to people, well, there's nothing wrong with also going to McDonald's and getting like a grilled chicken wrap. Like, you know,
And they're fucking fantastic as well.
Yeah. But it's when people start going every day and having a McDonald's breakfast every day, and then that's kind of like, we've got to draw the line somewhere, because then it costs a lot of money as well. So.
Yeah. And these are the things on shift, like it is expensive. Like I'll say that to people as well. See if you can go somewhere, or see if you are, like, your shifts, I actually made a video on that this week, like your shifts will be unpredictable, but your diet doesn't have to be. Like 9 times out of 10, if I was at work and shit hit the fan and I couldn't get back to the office to get my dinner, I would just go to Tesco or Morrison's, go to the Tesco garage, it's fucking 24 hours, go in and buy a sandwich and a protein bar and a Coke Zero. Like, I'm still having something, I still feel satisfied off the back of it. So it's still in my mind, my ability to make a decision between McDonald's and Tesco. So like, I always kind of just don't buy into it. So I had to get McDonald's. Did you have to get McDonald's, or did you just go to McDonald's? Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, McDonald's is fantastic, but if you're going every single day on shift, or if that's your go-to on shift, find somewhere else. Even go and get like an Indian takeaway, go and get like a Chinese takeaway, go and get something like that, and try and just get a chicken thing. Like, I used to, if we were getting like a plan for dirty piece, usually I would get a grilled chicken tikka wrap with the bread stuff on it. And again, I would just have banked calories for it. So you can still like practice these things for like banking ahead of time instead of banking off the back of it. So even if you're going for a back shift, don't think, oh well, I'm going to have a dirty piece tonight anyway, so I might as well have a McDonald's breakfast on the way in and a fucking 400 calorie latte from Starbucks. Like, I think as soon as people start to realize that food can be sort of manipulated over the course of the week, and as you've said, for different shifts, so that your hunger levels will be different on different shifts. And it's the one thing that we track with clients as well. Like, if you're more hungry on a back shift, eat more food on a back shift. Like, how can I do that? Like, well, yeah, because you're probably going to be less hungry the next day. So it's your first back shift, your last back shift. We used to do a Saturday into Sunday back shift, and I mean, you literally got home, you held on most of the time, got home, slept, woke up, showered, got your stuff on, went to work. And I was never really that hungry on that day. So you think, well, what would have been wrong with me having some of the Sunday's calories on the Saturday? Like, absolutely nothing. So it's just changing that kind of mindset with it as well. But I think as soon as the main thing is that trigger when people have had something and they've made that initial decision, then going, oh, fuck, I went off track anyway and I fucked it. And it's like, well, you've actually not. Like, you've actually not. So.
No, I like, yeah, that's it. It's the fuck it button that gets people the most, doesn't it? And the lack of knowledge surrounding it, you know, like that's what, like, I've had people say to me, you've saved me money by the coaching, like, just because they aren't going to McDonald's every day, they aren't going to the shops every day, they like just prep really easy things, a tortilla wrap, chicken, barbecue sauce and a bit of salad, bosh, like you take that to work. So
and you can stick them in your kit bag as well. Like, you can stick stuff like that in a cool box, stick it in your kit bag. So even if you get sent to a locus and you're standing there like a dick for 10 hours, you've still got stuff in your bag that you can have.
Yeah.
And it does save money because, I mean, there's been times where I've went to work as well and you maybe do get a McDonald's for your lunch and a Starbucks latte or something like that, and you're like 15, 16 quid before you get home. And there was folk in my shift that would have McDonald's every single day. I think that's like basically 40, 50 quid wasted over a run of 4 or 5 shifts, on top of the energy drinks and all the other shit that you bought, the Starbucks and all that as well. Like, it's a lot of money to waste on shite food that then makes you feel shite off the back of it.
Yeah, and then you feel crap. And then you go into the self-sabotage and think, oh, I feel crap, so I'm just going to eat more crap food.
Yeah.
So
But obviously, if anyone has any specific questions on self-sabotage, you can just message us on social media at Blue Light Coaching.
At Emma_Blue Light Coaching.
Emma_Blue Light Coaching. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it with it. With the self-sabotage stuff. Because it's very basic when you get on top of it. Don't beat yourself up. There's always tomorrow as the new day. Don't start Monday. Don't think, oh, well, I've went off track for this run of back shifts, so I might as well just fuck it for the entirety of them. Just get straight back into it as soon as possible. And having a chocolate bar doesn't make you a bad person.
No. And having a donut at work doesn't. Just
track them. I think that's also, before we go, like, that's the one thing as well. Like, people will feel really, really bad about some of the food that they've had, so they've not tracked it. And I think, see if you actually tracked it, if you'd had a Snickers at work, it's not completely ruined your week. So just track it, and then at least you've got an idea of, right, okay, well, I had 200 calories extra that day, so I can cut 50 calories off the next 4 days for the week and still be on track for the week and still.
And 50 calories is not that much. It's just like a baby bell.
You'll even notice it.
Not eat.
Wouldn't even notice it.
Exactly.
Right. Legend, mate. We will catch you in the next one. Cheers.
Bye-bye.